Thank you very much. It's such a great honor. And thank you for such a wonderful introduction. And for the honor that you give me, Mr. Chancellor, Madam President, and the Chair of the Board, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, makes me speechless. So that's the end of it. I'm very honored to have this special recognition for the work that we do. It's not because it gives honor to me. It's a recognition of an idea and a recognition by a distinguished university. It's a very important thing that academics look at what goes on and pay attention to something they feel is important. So that importance is something passed on to us that will draw attention of many other people because of the recognition you give us. I was part of the university campus life. That's how I literally started my career with. I moved from one campus to another campus, in one role to another role. But I never thought I'll quit campus and be somebody else. That was far, far away from my mind. But the circumstances kind of pushed me out of that campus. And that came because of the terrible famine in the country in Bangladesh back in 1974. And making me feel totally useless in a way that here I teach elegant theories of economics in the classroom and do it so enthusiastically as a young professor. But go outside the classroom, you see terrible things that happen to country. People dying of hunger, not in some remote corner of the country, but quite widespread. So you don't feel the same kind of enthusiasm that you felt before, because you see these elegant theories have no meaning in the lives of the people who live outside your classroom. So at one point I thought maybe I should forget about all those elegant theories because it's not something that I can use. Why don't I be just plain simple human being and try to stand next to another human being? Just because I don't know anything about how to help another person doesn't stop me from making an attempt. I think as a human being, I'll come up with something which will be useful to another person. So that's what I started doing every day, walking out of the campus to go to the next village and see what I can do for that particular day. Even if I find one person, that will be good enough for me. If it is only useful for one day, that's good enough for me. So this is what I did. This is the mid-70s. And along the way, I learned a lot about the village, about the people, about their life. So in a way, that became my university. This learning process was so concrete. Then I came face to face with something which I never learned in the classroom, the loan sharking. And I heard about it, read about it in stories and novels and plays, but never in my economics classroom. So I was curious. And I wanted to see how this works. Who are the people who are borrowing? Who are the people lending? How much they are lending? I took a student of mine and went around in the village for several days to collect this information, just out of curiosity. Then when my work was done, the list is prepared, I had 42 people on that list. Total money they borrowed from the loan sharks was $27. I couldn't believe that people have to suffer so much for so little. while I was overwhelmed by the enormity of the problem, suddenly it came to my mind, I can solve this problem. It's a very simple problem. Why don't I give this $27 myself and ask them to return the money to the loan sharks? Now they got their money, loan sharks got their money back, and they will be free from the kind of squeeze the loan sharks bring onto their life. So I did that right away without worrying about what it will mean to them or will mean to me, nothing. But what I didn't realize, the impact. I thought they will be happy because now they are not in the kind of bind with the loan sharks. They are free. But I didn't realize that there will be such an enormous amount of sensation in the village, whole village, not just few people who got the money. They thought I have done something like a miracle. So I even started joking with myself. I said, if you become an angel with $27, maybe if you do another $27, you'll be super angel. So the thought that came to my mind, if you can make so many people so happy with such a small amount of money, why shouldn't you do more of it? So I wanted to do more of it. One idea came, why don't I link the bank with the people in the village? See how innocent I was about banking? I went to the bank manager, who is right there in the campus. When I proposed to him, he said, no way. Bank cannot lend money to the poor people. He explained why they cannot do that, because they are not creditworthy. So I kept on arguing, he kept on arguing back. So this was the beginning of a confrontation between me and the banking system. It went on for months. But ultimately, I came up with an idea that I learned from them. I said, why don't you accept me as a guarantor? I'll sign all your papers, you protect your rules, and people get the money. And if they don't pay back, I'm here as a guarantor to pay you back. So after 8 months of this running around, finally, they accepted my proposition. And I was very happy that finally I opened the door of the bank. I took the money from the bank, gave to people in the village, and came up with simple ideas how to make it work. And it worked. And that was the beginning of a whole thing called microcredit, microfinance. But the bank was becoming more reluctant. As we go on, it becomes more and more successful. More successful it becomes, bank becomes more reluctant. So I said, forget about the bank. Why don't we create a new bank for ourselves? So I took a new route to convince the government to allow me to set up a new bank. So that's a long struggle again. Finally, in 1983, government allowed us to set up a bank. We called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank. And we were very happy that we can do it all over the country. We continue to do that. Today, we have 8.3 million borrowers in that bank. 97% are women. We lend money to poor women to create their income-generating activity and change their life. And the repayment is near 100%. We have no collateral, no guarantee. We are one bank in the whole world which is lawyer-free bank. We don't have lawyers. You have no collateral, so no need to have a lawyer in it. But even in the year of financial crisis and the period of financial crisis extending on, we had no impact on us because our bank is based on mutual trust. We trust the borrowers trust us, and it is perfect. And one special thing we did right from the beginning, that this bank should be owned by the borrowers themselves, the poor people owning the bank. Again, this is a kind of a absurd idea in a banking world, because banks are usually owned by rich people and usually rich men. We created a bank owned by poor people, and mostly poor women. So all these 8.3 million borrowers we have, they are the owners of the bank. Bank make profit, profit goes back to them as dividend. So it's a complete circle. We encourage them to send their children to school because they are all illiterate women. We thought we should make a brick in the whole history by turning these illiterate families into literate families from the second generation. We succeeded in doing that. 100% of the children were in school. So it became a responsibility of the bank, Grameen Bank, to make sure every child in school. So our staff has to work very hard to make sure the child goes to school and never gets dropped out. If a child gets out of the school, it's the staff who is responsible. So he gets very nervous that now I have to do hard work to make sure the child goes back and solve the problem, whatever the problem was. So we have a huge number of children going to school, and then the children continuing in school and coming to the college. The moment they come to the college, it becomes expensive. Parents don't afford to do that anymore. So we said, don't worry, keep them there. Grameen Bank will give you education loans. So we give education loans anybody who comes to the college level so that you can continue as far as you want to go. So we have thousands and thousands of these students in medical schools, engineering schools, universities. Some of them completed their PhD, some of them are studying abroad. I'm sure someday Carleton will have one of those students studying here. So they are all over the place right now. So it transformed the whole structure of the family, because the parents and their predecessors are all illiterate people. Literacy never entered those families. But the second generation, they're coming out, they're literate, they're educated. Many of them are thousands and thousands of them are highly educated. So when I go to the village, visiting these homes, as I do normally to meet them, I see a very different kind of picture now. A typical picture would be I'm visiting a village, I'm meeting this woman, among many other women, who has been in Grameen Bank for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I see a young girl with her who looks exactly like her, but younger, mother and daughter. So I think daughter is helping her in her business and so on. So he asked the daughter, how is life? What are you doing now? She says, well, I'm a doctor. So suddenly you wake up. She looks like another village girl, but she is a medical doctor. I said, what are you doing in the village? She said, I'm just visiting. I practice in a nearby town. And since you are coming to the village, I thought I'll meet you. I never met you before. So I came waiting for you. So I look at her with big smiles, and her mother with the biggest smile. And always a question comes to my mind in a situation like this. Her mother could have been a doctor too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her mother. But she never went to school. Forget about being a doctor, just never learned how to read and write. Is it her fault? Every time my answer is no, it's not her fault. Whose fault is it? It's the fault of the society, who never gave the opportunity to an able-bodied person go to school and unleash her creativity, unleash her potential. So she remains what she is, a poor woman. But her daughter got a little chance. Because of an institution who got in connection with her mother, things got changed. She went to school, she got education loan, she became a medical doctor. Now she's her life, and then next generation's life will be very different than her father, her mother, and grandfather, and grandmother, everybody else's life. So it comes to the same conclusion and again when you ask the question, why people are poor? And my answer is always, poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system. So don't worry about those people. Say, okay, let me help her. That's not a solution to poverty. Solution to poverty is fix the system. Because the seed of poverty is in the system, not in the person. How do we do that? To make a very general statement, I would say whole system is a half-baked system, halfway done system. Look at the institution called financial institution, bank. Why should bank reject people? Any people? They're saying the answer that I got in the beginning, the one I was narrating, they are not creditworthy. Are they really? We started a program in New York City in 2008, in January, called Grameen America, doing exactly the same thing we do in the villages of Bangladesh. We were challenged that it won't work in the United States. I said, you're wrong. It will work anyway. So they said, why didn't you do it and show it? I said, okay, we'll show it. So we started in 2008, January. We didn't know that that year there'll be financial crisis coming. But later on, the financial crisis came in a very strange situation. Grameen program is flourishing. No collateral, nothing. People taking loans, averaging about $1,500, paying back 100%. On the other side of the road, big banks are collapsing. They can't get their money back. I said, I wish somebody asked me, who is creditworthy? So that's where system went wrong. We created an institution which rejects 2/3 of the world population, not just few. In city like New York and city like New York, anywhere, you have payday loans everywhere. They advertise in the newspaper. Maybe they're $1 trillion business. What do? They lend money at 50% interest, 500% interest, 1,500% interest. It goes on. Nobody bets their eyelid on that. Is this the proof of a banking system, a good banking system? No, it is the proof of a sick banking system. Why should there be a payday loans? A journalist asked me in New York, how do you judge your success in New York City? I said, well, if my program is successful in New York City, then there will be no payday loans in New York City anymore. There will not be any pawn shops anymore. There won't be any check cashing companies anymore. Because these are the things which made people the way they are. Then I talk about the concept of business. I said, this is also a half-done story. Economists assumed human beings to be money-making machines. All they do in their life is make money in business. I said, that's not wrong. That's wrong, absolutely, because that's not true. Human beings are not one-dimensional to begin with. So economists misinterpreted human beings. Is interpreting them so restricted way, being a one-dimensional being. They assume that human beings are all selfish beings. All they do business in a self-centered way. I said human beings are multidimensional. They are selfish. At the same time, they are selfless. But economists forget about the selfless part of human being. And we have done a halfway story. And we created all the problems in the world by assuming everybody is a selfish being. We are so busy being selfish. We nearly forgot about our selfless part because the theory doesn't allow us to be using that selfless part. So I said, why don't we create that part? Create a business on the basis of selflessness. And we call it social business, for example. So we started calling it social business, building selfless businesses. These are as business as any other business. It recovers its cost, but it is not for making money for myself or any owner of that company. It is to solve a problem that I see. Any problem can be designed as a business so that the business can solve the problem, a problem-solving business. Initially, people said, oh, this is a fancy thinking, this is not real. People don't do things like that. I said, they do. Today, they don't do it because we all fit our young people with the profit-maximizing glasses when they come to our schools. So look at the world with the profit-maximizing eyes. So they see the world as a profit-maximizing opportunities. I said, if we take those glasses off for a while and put on social business glasses, the world will look very different. So we can do both businesses, making money with the profit-making business and changing the world with social businesses. So we started creating those businesses, a series of them. We have even joint ventures with multinational companies for social business, like Grameen Danone as food products. We produce yogurt for malnourished children. Bangladesh is a country of malnourished children. Half the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. No solution. So we create this yogurt, put all the macronutrients into that yogurt, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, everything, and make it very cheap so that all the children can eat it. If a child regularly eats this, regularly means 2 cups of yogurt every week. And over 8 or 9 months, the child becomes a healthy child, a playful child. But this company is not trying to make money out of them. This company is trying to make sure the child affords this yogurt, enjoys this yogurt, and parents are happy with this yogurt, and in the process, they change their life. As long as the company recovers its cost, that's fine. Owners can get back their investment money, nothing more than that, because they're dedicated to solving the problem, not making money. So we created a joint venture with Adidas, a shoe making company, to produce shoes for the people who cannot afford to buy shoes. I gave them the challenge, said, why don't you adopt a mission in your company? And the mission statement would be, nobody in the world should go without shoes. As a shoe company, it's our responsibility to make sure even the poorest person, we build shoes, we make shoes even for the poorest person in an affordable way. They accepted the challenge. So now they have spent a lot of time and research to finding that design and costing and so on. This month they will be marketing the first batch of shoes for test marketing to see whether people loved it, to enjoy it, and so on and so forth, and redesign it according to the reaction they get from the market, and the pricing, etc. And I wanted to make sure when they asked me how cheap it should be to be affordable to the poorest person. I said, I'm not in shoe business, I don't know. But maybe, just I'm guessing, maybe it should be under €1. The CEO looked at me. He said, you're a very tough man. I said, it's not me, the situation is tough. But as a shoe company, I think you can do that. You have the technology in your hand. Today's technology is enormously powerful. Never happened in the history of human being. And all this technology is in the command of the money-making business. What they do, they make more money. Because that's the only thing we taught them as economists, make money. We never told them they can do anything else. Now, I'm going back, I said, you can do something else. You can open a window. You can create a social business. Use the same technology and change the world as a business, not as a charity. Because charity is a good thing, but the charity dollar has only one life. It goes, it does the job, never comes back. But you can transform this whole thing into a business, a social business. Then the social business money becomes get an endless life. It recycles. It keeps on moving. It never ends. It's a self-propelling engine that you have created. It continues. It becomes so powerful. Then you get involved in it. In charity, you write a check. You give it to somebody to help take care of that. But when you make a social business, you get involved. Your family gets involved. Your children gets involved. Because you are doing something very inspiring. So you bring all your technology, all your creativity, all your management skill into that little company that you created called social business. So now we are talking about it, and a series of these things are happening. I'll not go into details, but just to mention one thing, we're just starting a series of social business in Haiti. Because I was complaining that all this money going to Haiti, most of it will be wasted because it goes as a relief, nobody will take care of it, some will be wasted, somebody will be misused, abused, and so on. I said, why don't you put 10% of your money into a social business fund so that somebody can come up with a business idea to solve the problem, how to solve the problem of unemployed, for example. Creating employment in social business so much easy than creating employment in a profit maximizing business. In profit maximizing business, employment is a byproduct. Your other objectives rule supreme. So your ability to create jobs is limited. In a social business, this becomes the objective. So you can do a lot more, and you're not interested in having 30% return on your investment because it's a social business. All you care to do is to cover your cost. 0 return on your investment is fine enough for you. So you have enormous scope between 0% return to 30% return. Nobody will enter that except if you are a social business. So you can do that. I said an excellent social business will be how to take 10 people out of welfare. I create a social business. Only objective of my social business is take 10 people out of welfare so that they no longer remain on welfare. They become full-bodied, creative human beings. It's possible. But a profit-making company will never do that. That's not interesting for him. But it's interesting for us as a social business. We'll do that. If I can be successful in doing that, taking 10 people out, now I know I can pay 10 million out of them because I know the system now. Maybe 100 million. I can do that. So that's what the social business is all about. It's a challenge. It challenges your creativity. It challenges your ability to change the society and make a better world. A world where there'll be at least no poor people. And I keep saying that what we should be doing soon, create poverty museums. Because poverty will not be in the society. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the honor that you have bestowed on me.